Hello, Spoon Nation, and welcome back to yet another wrestling review. It's been a very, very, very long time, but we're back with wrestling reviews. If you recall, last review was the Britain only pay per view, one night only. And today we have the the event that definitely is a WCW pay per view that happened, Sold Out 1999. So yeah, before we get into the reviews, I doubt you'll ever see this, but I want to give a big shout out to I want to get his name right. Interesting Sand 5749 on Reddit. I made a Reddit account because I couldn't find this show flipping anywhere. But then, I popped over to the WCW subreddit, put in, and within a couple hours, my man Interesting Sand had shown me the ways of finding this show, and there was a lot of wrestling on that website. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into this 1999 WCW Sold Out pay-per-view review. The show starts with an address of the nation by new WCW owner Ric Flair, who says that WCW are back and they have got control of the company over the NWO. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying I watch this on what can only be referred to as very poor quality video. I don't think for 1 second I'm not appreciative of Interesting Sand, my boy, my home dog, the man who never watched this video. But because I got to watch the whole pay per view for the most part, but the quality was a bit rubbish. But of course it was. It was on a dodgy site, let's call it that. So there were graphical glitches. Now it could be that it was just a graphical glitch on thing, but I like to think, nah, it's just the NWO flipping, fucking around. I don't want to keep saying flipping. I'm a minute. I can swear, fucking with Flair and his state of the nation. They say they're the best wrestling company in the world, and then yeah, we see the crowd, massive fucking fireworks show right at the start. Tony Schiavone, who I've stuck terribly in the notes, Jesus, says it's going to be a night of revenge. The NWO are now in a much weaker state, and I don't think he's right. Anyway, they discuss the main event and how it's the taser match. The call is obviously Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Mike Tenay. They hype up the David Flair match, which with hindsight is like, oh, he wasn't very good at wrestling. And they're going down the card, talk about the Jericho and Saturn match. And yeah, and then there's a disturbance backstage and Goldberg's being attacked. Now, before we get too much in, I find it really weird that this is a January pay-per-view in the middle of, not the middle, but the WCW Monday night, the war is on, right? It's Royal Rumble season soon. And there's one championship match on this whole card, and it's the cruiserweights. Now, I know the cruiserweights obviously be a big beat. Come on, man. No tag belts, no like TV title, no world championship, no massive anything. It's kind of just a very much like this could be a TV show, like a good TV show, but not pay per view. Anyway, commentary are talking about the Wolfpack and how they probably attack Goldberg. And the first match is on, and it's Mikey Enos versus Chris Benoit. I can't remember if I've seen Benoit before, but yeah, what a bell end. There's just general scrapping, but Benoit hits some big old chops. They like just taunting each other, go like, ooh, and then they like do the snot rockets at each other, which is grim. Enos then flattens Chris with a shoulder tackle, taunts the crowd, but gets booed to fuck. Benoit's in the Horseman at the moment, the commentators tell us. And the commentator is saying that beating up Chris Benoit would probably been one of Enos's biggest wins in WCW so far. Good strikes and chops, and just Enos is just there, and it's just so intense. Benoit is an intense wrestler, which isn't good. He goes for the crippler crossface, but there's a good counter into like a backbreaker from Enos. Enos. Doesn't matter. And then the commentary, talk about the WCW in charge of the NWO, which I know they aren't. Like, more big strikes in Benoit. Enos gets on top and gets some big old heat. They just start slapping Benoit, who returns with a big old chop. Pair of German suplexes and does the throat slit, which is just like, oh, of all the people who do the throat slit, Benoit Oh, it's awful. Anyway, but then there's he does the diving headbutt. But then he reverses a suplex into the crossface, and Enos taps. 2 2.25 stars out for me out of 5. A very intense match, but nothing crazy. And Benoit diving headbutt, throat slit. Yeah. As Benoit is celebrating, the commentary team talk about how this is great for the Horseman and should be good for Flair, who's got a match with his son later. See a video package about the taser on a pole match. I know it's not technically on a pole, but Vince Russo, pretty sure is booking in '99. I can't remember. I wasn't alive. But there's some of this weird like video game dancey techno-y music, which I just found quite funny. Norman Smiley comes down to the ring and he has a fucking urn, and they're talking on commentary, and it's Chavo Guerrero's horse. Weird. Pair run around the ring, then the bell rings, then Norman gets into the ring and just starts fighting Chavo. Chavo gets Norman out of the ring and does a big old crossbody outside of the ring. Chavo gets back into the rings. Very nice springboard bulldog. Norman gets on top. Chavo hits a springboard crossbody off the corner. Norman with the back body drop, making Chavo go face first into the corner, then a massive lariat. He just then starts slapping the shit out of Chavo. There's this big old mental fucking slam, and there's a little peck dance. Smiley keeps charging into a head scissor chokes. He keeps on doing these chokes and arm bars and the surfboard submission. And then Chavo hits a big clothesline, but he then gets hit with a swinging neck breaker. Chavo tries to submit Smiley with some weird leg bar, knee bar thing. Norman goes for a triangle choke, releases it, and slaps Chavo. Chavo then gets hit with a big old back elbow, and then Norman Smiley does a dance. He killed his horse, I think, or stole his ashes. They didn't really explain it well. Norman lights Chavo up some big old chops and gets him onto the top rope during the attack. And then Smiley hits a superplex onto Chavo. He does some dancing and then just like because he killed his horse. And then more some. Oh, there's also a bit where Norman Smiley basically just fucking throws Chavo into the air and just watches him go splat. More submission, more sleepers, belly to back suplex. And just thinking this match is going on really long. There are no stakes. It's a 15-minute match nearly, I think. Like it's a long fucking match where nothing 50. It's the second longest match on the card, and it's for nothing. Norman gets Chavo up into the gory special. Chavo does a sunset flip, but Norman then flips him, just starts spanking him because horsing around. Couple roll ups mean nothing. Chavo goes for a tornado DDT, but reverses it. Norman does. Norman throws a horse ash at Chavo, puts him in the chicken submission, and he submits. 2 out of 5. This was a 15-minute match. It should have been 10 on pay-per-view. There's literally no stakes. So Norman celebrates, but Chavo worries about the urn and the horse. And then, Smiler's more horse-based taunts because, dead horse. And then see Conan in an interview. He's talking about the NWO and how they got him. And Conan says he'll get whoever got him. Down next is Wrath. So if you go on to Wikipedia in Cage Match, it says there should be another match. I think it's Fit Finley versus someone. I don't have it. I couldn't find it either to review. And I looked at a different review online and they didn't review it. So I don't know. Maybe it. And Cage Match normally talks about dark matches and whatever, and it just wasn't there. So I mean, it was a 2-star match on Cave Match. Yeah, Fit Finley versus Van Hammer, 2 stars. Another match would have just no. Bam Bam's out to fight Wrath in a big old giant on giant match. Just lots of general strikes, a big old pump kick, and then Bam Bam's out the ring. Some big old chops, and then just more working over. And there's a guy in the crowd Bam Bam shouts at, and then he's like, shut up. And then the guy in the crowd's like, make me shut up. And I'm thinking, unless this is some fucking huge Bam Bam's a big man. He's 300 pounds. He's a fucking weapon. shouting at him to shut you up is insane. Then more rest holds, and the crowd are dead. Besides that one guy, the crowd are silent through the majority of this match. As a pin on Wrath, he gets his foot on the rope. As he gets it there, he kicks the cameraman. Double down after double clothesline. Wrath gets the upper hand, but Bigelow just gets the upper hand back, and it's a pile driver for the win. 1 3/4 stars out of 5. Just another average match with long rest holds. Nothing. After the ring announcers introduce Conan, who dances down to the ring, despite maybe 5 minutes ago, no, maybe a bit more than 5, but not long ago, saying he's gonna fucking fight whoever did him in. And then he gets on the mic, says, like, I will win. And then he does some Spanish, which I don't know, and he's like, I can't believe the Wolfpack turned on me, but the crowd are loving him, so it's not too bad. And then I think he's talking about Kevin Nash. I think he's in charge of the Wolfpack at the moment. I don't know my WCW 1999 history. Fucking shoot me. Then Lex Luger comes down. Lex gets a mic and says, Conan, I don't want you to be angry, man. We just had, there's an A team as a B team. You just had to get cut out, man. And then Conan just slaps him, and then the match starts. The crowd are again just dead. No, not dead. They're dead hot. Sorry, I can't read my own fucking notes. Dead hot, and Conan is wailing on Luger, who then hits an atomic drop. Commentary explained it's not just about the attack Conan faced from the Wolfpack. Luger personally attacked Ray. And, that's why Conan's so angry, because, I think the LWO maybe, like, I don't care. Luger gets on top and then just starts targeting Conan's neck and lower back. Conan gets into control, but Luger takes it back, punches Conan out the ring, and then Luger puts Conan in a really bad bear hug. Like, it was like, I would have done better. You've seen my house fights. If you haven't, they're on the YouTube channel. Go and watch me fight people. One person in a field. Watch him. This bear hug was fucking diabolical, and he did it for like a whole minute. Just more striking, and then, whatever. It looks like Conan might be counted out because Luger kicked him too many times when he was outside the ring, but he isn't. Conan hits a pretty good crossbody and a rolling lariat, but then he gets Luger into a sitting position. It's such a slow fucking drop kick. This match is so slow. This pay-per-view is a slog. I would not recommend watching it. Anyway, Miss Elizabeth comes down as Conan's got Luger in the Tequila Sunrise and the ref's busy. She sprays his face with paint, which you can't really fucking see. Luger puts Conan in the torture rack, and Conan fucking instantly submits. 2 out of 5. The match started hot with the hot crowd, but it's so slow and such a shit finish, which is basically this whole card. This card is so slow. Honest to fuck, lads. Speed it up. Anyway, we get a shot of the crowd and Conan being walked back, then more shots of the crowd in case they fucking changed. Then we get the Paris Saturn match against Jericho with the loser wearing a dress because it's 1999 and men in dresses. Boo! Oh, shit. Boo for some fucking reason. And then Saturn comes out. Jericho comes out with a rip of even flow, which is quite fun. It was some just fat old guy. I think he's called Fastus, Ralphus, some shit old man bold name. Anyway, and then he's walking down. There's a sign. He tears it up, and then the commentary let us know the vital detail that Perry Saturn has beef with this referee. He tries to fuck on me, and they just start the match. And then the commentators are telling us about the 4-corner match coming up, and that Ray and Kidman won the coin toss. Jericho puts Saturn into a rest hold and just keeps showing ask him. Saturn gets into control and then hits a springboard leg drop, which I thought was quite nice. Then Ralphus gets the dress out ringside, and I'm sat there going, that's good, innit? Anyway, Jericho hits a pretty nice springboard kick and suicide dive into Saturn, who's outside now. He then hits a layout suplex on Perry. Like, he gets him up suplex, and it's kind of like out front. Jericho gets in, does some taunting, and then gets Perry with a stalling suplex into the ring. He does 1 foot pin, but Perry Saturn reverses it, strikes Chris, but then a big boot and a senton, and Jericho's back in control. More rest holds on this fucking show. Honestly, this show is so slow, and it doesn't help. It's not slow like, oh my god, it's so slow, the heels, but it's just slow because there's no titles. There's one title on the line this whole show. It's just a pointless fuck of a show. Anyway, yeah, Jericho goes for a lion salt, but Saturn gets his knees up. Perry hits a T-bone suplex. Jericho slams him, but then goes for a kick and starts teasing. No, Perry Saturn then. Fuck me. Jericho goes for a kick, misses. Perry Saturn then like a drop kick, not any kick, a drop kick, and he's now on his ass or just front. Then Perry Saturn grabs his legs like, oh, I'm gonna do the lion tamer, but just slingshot Jericho out the ring. Saturn hits a frog splash inside the ring. Roll ups and a German suplex from Jericho, but Saturn kicks out of all of it. Jericho gets crotched in the corner. Jericho goes for it, but Saturn kicks him away. Then there's a suplex that's kind of put into a small package. And as they're in the small package, the ref pushes him so Perry's being pinned and does a really fast count. 2.25 stars. A shit finish from a very slow match. But they did some decent moves. Jericho gives the ref the bag and says, go give it a Saturn, make him wear the dress. Saturn gets the dress out, and then after maybe literally 2 minutes, he finally gets the dress on. Like, it's agonizingly slow, this show as is. I don't need Perry Saturn pretending to not know how to put a dress on. Ref goes to zip him up, but then Perry Saturn like turns away and goes like, I'll punch you, and then them three run away, the three being fucking Ralphus, Jericho, and the ref. Then we see David Flair in an interview saying, I'm going to win for my dad. I know I'm only 19, I'm not a wrestler, but I'm going to win. I don't want to be injured, but I want to make a name for myself and not just be seen as Rick's son. Next is the only title match on the fucking card. It is a I think 8 match. It is an 8 match card, and there is one belt on the line. And it's really weird. So I had it down as a 4-way, but it's not. It's a 4 corners match. Basically, it's a 4-way, but there are 2 people in, and they have to tag in and out, which is stupid. Why would you want to tag out, and why wouldn't you want to tag in? Anyway, Kidman's out first, which is shit because he's the champion. I'm tired. This show has drained my fucking caring. Anyway, Juventud Guerrero's out, and then Psychosis is out, then Rey Mysterio's out, and yeah, the tagging thing. But this is not a bad match. I'm gonna try and get a bit into it, but this show took it out of me, man. Ray and Kidman start with some just good general quick lucha things. Thank you, Kalisto, for giving me a way of explaining twill to whirls and running and backflips and shit. Double down after a double crossbody. And then the other 2 come in and just kick the shit out of the ones on the floor, which I thought that's a good, funny spot. Ray tags Psychosis in, and Kidman tags Juventud in, and I stopped caring about the tags. It's so shit. Psychosis and Juve shake hands, then go into a rage. Go to Rage, Kidman, and Ray. What the fuck does that mean, my notes? Oh, they shake hands and like, I don't want to fight. And then they go to tag both of Ray and Kidman, but they both jump to the floor, which again, a funny spot in this shit match. Kidman and Ray double team him in the ring, and I've written the legal men, but I couldn't follow it, and I don't think it matters for the way the match finishes. Juventud and Psychosis team on Kidman, and then Ray. Juventud and Psychosis fight them both, and just there's a bit where they're fighting on the like they're fighting them, and then then Kidman and Rey Mysterio get onto the floor. They're on the apron and hit these fucking these power bombs, and it's fucking awful. And then Ray and Kidman hit like a kind of a springboard and doomsday device on Juventud, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. But Psychosis breaks up the pin. Lots of springboards and jumps, leaving Ray and Juventud as illegal men, with Kidman and Psychosis outside. Juventud does an assisted leg dive onto the ones outside, then Ray hits a flipping Meteora onto Kidman. And then Juventud just fucking flattens Psychosis. Juventud hits Ray with a slam. And while pinning him, Psychosis does a coup de grace onto the pin, which I thought looked fucking sick. Psychosis does a Hurricane Run off the top rope to Juventud. Kidman stops the pin, then reverses. You cannot powerbomb Billy Kidman. He will hit you with a face buster. Ray then breaks the pin up, hits a sunset flip bulldog thing, which I thought looked fucking. I don't really know how he did it because he was like going to go over, but he got him into a bulldog. Then Psychosis does a suicide dive onto Ray and Kidman, who are outside. Then take him back into the Kidman into the ring, hits a missile drop kick, but Psychosis breaks up the pin. And then Ray sweeps Kidman's legs. So he who's already got Huvie up does like a Russian leg sweep. Ray hits a Hurricane Rana on Psychosis outside. Kidman hits Huvie with a shooting star press for the win. And Ray just fails to break up the pin. A much better match, a lot quicker. But even then, the only title match, guys, I gave it 3 3/4 stars. The best match on the card by a fucking mile. I think it's the only match I gave. Yeah, the only match I gave more than 3 stars on the whole pay-per-view. So yeah, I do not recommend this show. Anyway, Booker T's talking and Y2J comes over and then they're like, blah, 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 I'm going to fight you tonight. And then Jericho's like, no, you aren't. Fight you tomorrow, Buster, on fucking Nitro. And then I assume they did, but I don't care. I'm not fucking Googling it. Then Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham come down, who are representing the NWO for their tag match against David and Ric Flair. Rick and David come down. They got Arn Anderson. Rick gets a chair for some reason, even though it's not a no DQ match. He doesn't hit anyone with it. But Kurt Hennig and Barry kind of walk away. Rick gets on the mic and says, "You're just Horseman rejects." Hennig gets on the mic and says, "I'm gonna whip you, Rick. Then I'm gonna whip your son's ass." And then he's like, "I'm in the NWO." Arn Anderson, piss off. And Rick's like, "Well, you got to fight me now," because he's like, I think he's owner, president. I don't know what. He's not, is he? But he's like the authority thing. He's like, "You got to fight me, or I'm gonna fucking sack you. You have to go and wrestle for WWF." Ooh, zinger on pay-per-view. Arn says he wants David to start the match, and then David's like, "Yeah, go on then," and he makes his dad make him start. Barry Windham and David Flair start. David has like an amateur style to his thing. He's very scrappy and just goes for a head scissors and stuff. And then he's like, Rick's like proud of his son. He goes in, does his big old strut. Barry then just beats the shit out of David, but then gets chopped to fuck, and then hits a hip toss. David then tags Rick in. Now, this is a 2-on-2 match. You do not see David Flair again in this match. The rest of the match is them just beating the fuck out of Ric Flair, just chops and he does a big Flair does his big sell. You could picture a beat up angle. It's a superplex. Arn squares up to Kurt Hennig outside. Rick hits a big atomic drop on Barry Windham. Hennig gets tagged in, works over the legs, and now, it's just a 2-on-1 match. Hennig puts a figure four on Flair. Hennig then releases it, tags Windham in, then Flair goes for a roll up, but Windham kicks out and Flair goes onto the floor, and they just keep working him over. They have a yay boo stop bot. Arn then attacks Hennig. I don't recall there being a tag here to David. Anyway, Arn attacks Hennig in the ring. Flair puts outside the ring, sorry. Flair puts Windham in the figure four. Hennig gets back into the ring and attacks Rick. They just keep double teaming him, and this match is so repetitive. So much of this show is so fucking repetitive, man. But then David low blows Hennig because they're about to do a double suplex on Flair. David and Kurt start fighting behind the ref's back. And then Arn comes in, attacks Kurt, like hits him with a rod of metal, like a lead pipe or something. David falls on him for the win. And it's just, that was a shit finish. I was expecting a David Flair hot tag. I know David Flair's not a great wrestler. I was expecting him to fucking pull out, fucking 450 splash or whatever. But, a hot tag. But no, it just ends 1.75 out of 5. But then the post-match angle. Then NWO come down and just beat the shit out of David and Arn. And then the Wolfpack come down. And I think, oh shit, we're out of turf war. But no, they're all friends. They surround David Flair. Hogan handcuffs Rick to the ropes. And they all attack David. And just batter him and batter him. And Hogan whips him with his belt. And they're making Rick watch. But then they spray Eazy-E on his back. And I'm like, oh, like Bischoff. And then Hogan and Flair shout at each other. The crowd had already chanted for Goldberg. Now they're chanting for Sting. That's not going to happen. And then, because the cameraman's quite close, you hear Rick going, "I will fucking kill you" to Hogan, which is quite funny as he just keeps on whipping David. The NWO then leave. There's a bit where Hogan goes to the camera and says, "I've done it for you, Eazy-E, brother. I love you, brother." And then he blows him a kiss. Isn't that fun? And then we get a weird video package with a weird, not even song, just noise. And it's like, yeah, this is why Scott Hall and Goldberg are having a taser match. Great. And then, we get the I can't remember his name. Who does the ring announcing? Him, the man who does it. It's no disqualification. Let's get ready to rumble. That lad, you know who I mean, him. And then, Skull comes down first with the cattle pod. He gets the mic and says he's got good news and bad news. Good news, everyone at Souled Out got to look at me. Bad news is Goldberg lost his streak, lost his belt, and when he found out he was fighting me tonight, Goldberg pissed himself, slipped on the pit, and broke his knee. That's funny. But then, Goldberg's theme plays. He comes down in a knee brace, and I'm thinking, oh, that's what's going to happen. But it doesn't matter because it's a ladder match. And also, it's not even who gets it first, it's who uses it first. So Goldberg could just wait. Scott Hall will get the taser and you just got to spear him. Anyway, match starts. Hall does a little shove on Goldberg, and Goldberg does his big, Survivor Series 2017, his big old fuck off shove. The 1 minute 28 against Brock Lesnar. Anyway, body slam from Goldberg and just sells his knee. But Hall works over his leg, thinking, oh, if he can't climb a ladder, he can't tase me. Anyway, and then Scott goes to the ladder, but Goldberg's behind him. Because the ladder's not in the ring, it's on the outside on the entrance. Goldberg's behind him. And, pushes him, but then Scott pushes him down. Scott then gets into the ring, and, Goldberg brings the ladder, and he's, pushing it under the bottom rope, but fucking Scott Hall baseball slides it into Goldberg's face, cuts him right open. He's bleeding lots. But yeah. And then this Hall chokes at him and stomps him, and then he sets the ladder up, climbs it a bit, hits an elbow off the ladder, but then the ladder falls on him. I'm thinking, oh, that probably hurt. Scott climbs the ladder again. Goldberg gets him from behind, hits a backdrop suplex. Then they, hit the Hall hits the ladder off Goldberg a couple of times. Just again and again, and on his front, on he gets on his hands and knees, does it on his back. Sets the ladder up, climbs it. Goldberg pushes the ladder and he bounces face first off the top rope. And then Goldberg can't walk because of his dodgy knee. Dodgy knees and how they are. Anyway, what happens after the dodgy knee incident? The same exact thing. The ladder gets set up again. Oh no, this is the time Bill sets it up. He hits Hall with it 4 times before setting up. Hall then drop kicks the ladder, making Goldberg fall off. Some other ladder stays up, which I thought was kind of cool. But then Bill just pushes him around, whatever, sets the ladder up, climbs it. Then fucking Disco Inferno comes down. That's cool. That wasn't in the video package. Disco Inferno's just here. He pushes Goldberg down. Disco gets Hall up to try and get the taser. Then Disco Inferno gets it outside the ring. Hall gets a taser, goes to tase him, but he misses. And then Goldberg hits him with a super kick. Hall drops the taser outside the ring, and there's this kid. It could be a woman, it could be a child, just screaming to Goldberg, "It's here, it's here!" Goldberg gets the taser, just tases Disco Inferno, who's ringside. And then he gets in the ring, and Hall's like, whoa, stop, begs him. And then Goldberg does a really good spot where he throws it in the air, fucking spears Scott Hall, hits him with a jackhammer, then gets the taser and tasers Scott Hall, who's lying down. And then, that he wins. It was a very repetitive match, but not the worst match. 2 3/4 out of 5. Then Bam Bam Bigelow comes down, attacks him, and then Scott Hall tases both of them, and the show ends. Again, I thought this could have been just my feed, but I checked it. No, the show did just end like that. So yeah, a very, very strange pay-per-view. Very slow. Maybe if you had to watch this show, you'd only watch the cruiserweight match. But even then, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not like go watch the show for the cruiserweight match. It was good, but it was strange. I give the show 2.3 stars out of 5. Now it has been such a long time since I've done this show, this Keith Spoon video series, where I've got maybe 5 or 6 things to the spin wheel. But let's get into the spin wheel and see what I've got to review next time. I've added 4 things. I've added Rebellion 2025 by TNA, WrestleMania 41, Stand and Deliver by NXT, and Backlash. Oh, I've not put the years on them. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. Anyway, let's spin. I'm fine with anything. I would like an AEW show, or at least a show I can find. I've never watched AEW before, so let's see what I got. And I got Full Gear 2019. That's an AEW show. Now, it might be a fucking nightmare to find, but at least it's AEW. I'm excited for this. I've literally never watched AEW pay-per-views. I'm going to have a look at the match card. And then, yeah, let's see what my feelings are for the match card. So, yeah, looking at the match card, got some good, a bit of everything. Got some tag teams, got some 3-ways, trios, if you will. Loads of title matches, and then a big old death match. Well, it's not a death match; it's a lights out match between Jon Moxley and Mr. Omega. This will be my first full match of most people on this card, except Pac and the Lucha Brothers. I've seen Penta and I've seen Ray. Jericho, obviously, Cody again, obviously, but I've never seen a full Kenny Omega match, so I'm very excited for this. I've no idea when the video will be out. I need to get a job, as I've said in many videos. Anyway, thank you for watching this review of WCW Souled Out 1999. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next one of Full Gear 2019. If not, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or go away.